get selected, then you don't know for sure how many days you're gonna be there.
I'm just letting you know I'm a conservative Christian, and then they're like, oh, never mind.
That's only if you get called in and they start asking you questions.
Yeah, I've never made it that far.
Yeah, the last time I got called,
But I would not be to do.
The only, I didn't want to.
I've never.
Well, the first time I didn't get called, but the second time I did, they asked me all those questions.
I was called up in La Crosse, Wisconsin, but we didn't live there at the time.
I hear somebody on the thing. Normally I say we're going to get started in a few minutes, but
Fall off.
That last.
I'm like, I don't live here.
And she told them that, and they said, well, I mean, the judge, you can't be here and have all.
we're going to get started. It was all Chuck's fault. It was all Chuck's fault. LOL. LOL. All right. Mr. Glenn, could you close us out tonight with the word of prayer? All right, thank you. Sorry we're getting started late. We had technical issues. No, we needed to talk a little bit about some things. All right, conclusion. It is good to see everybody here this week. Hope everybody was able to get all their questions answered. You had some extra time. Looking at you, Chloe. I saw your sheet. I saw your sheet.
I got
No.
I'm not confident about my answers.
All right, so traditionally we've been starting with the conclusion just to kind of give us a summary of what happened in chapters 11 and 12. Basically, they show us humanity's desire for power, which leads to division, while Abram's faith in God leads to a blessing for all people. Is that accurate? Did I get that right? All right, so I was thinking, how much time has elapsed from Genesis chapter 1 up until this point in our lesson? And I do like Bible.ca. It's a pretty good website, written by members of the church. They have some timelines in there. And according to his timeline, if I did the math right, because he didn't really lay it out in how long it was, but there was years and you had to do basic mathematics. And you know me in math. But anyway, if I did it right or pretty close, their timeline on that website says about 2,650 years elapsed from the creation till chapter 11 in Babel. And then he said, if I did the math right, about 684 years from chapter 11 to chapter 12 to Abram.
From 11 to 12? Say that
From
last part?
From 11 to 12, about 684 years.
I was gonna say 6 weeks it's taken us to.
6 weeks. Well, so if you did 3,000 years divided by 6 weeks, how many weeks or how many years are we covering a week?
684 years
How
over
many weeks
chapters
are in
11 and 12.
Between 11 and 12, yes. So from the time of the Tower of Babel to Abraham, or Abram, because his name's not changed yet. But I read another source, not to throw you guys off or anything, but I did read another source. I think it was like Answers in Genesis that said 100 years passed. So these are estimates, okay? They're just estimates. You have about 1,000 years from creation to Abraham. It's about 3,000 years. All right. So, young ladies, you must have the spinning wheel all prepped and ready to go since we're starting about 5 minutes late. You have it tonight. Okay. Quadruple.
Someone has failed to plug in her phone.
Oh, I can do it.
She loves multitasking.
I think Addison's got it ready to go, I think. All right. So if you want to spin the wheel, we're just going to jump right into this. See, Addison's got the sound effects. Yeah. So the fill in the blanks, we're going to be in Genesis 11, verse 4 goes to Catherine. All right, Catherine.
And they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower whose top is in the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered abroad over the face of the whole earth."
All right. Did she get it correct?
Yes.
All right. Did everybody get that correct? Yeah. All right.
Responsible, did she get it correct? So, yeah.
All right. So we're going to talk more about this section when we get down a little bit further into the questions from the text and the thought questions. All right. So you want to spin the wheel and we'll get to the Genesis chapter 11, verses 7 and 8. And all right, Vera.
Come, let us go down, and there confuse their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from there over the face of all the earth, and they ceased building the city.
All right. So is there anything interesting in there about God?
He said, us.
Us. So what is that? What is it?
There's more than one entity in the spirit of God.
Yeah. So that goes back to chapter 1, right? Let us make man in our image. Yeah. So there's a plurality in the Godhead. All right. Very good. Everybody got that?
Yes.
All right. We're cruising along. The next one, Genesis 12, verses 1 through 3, will go to Say Maya. Who? Anita. All right, Anita.
Now the Lord said to Abram, get out of your country, from your family and your father's house, to the land that I will show you. I will make you a great nation. I will bless you and make your name great, and you shall be blessed, and you shall be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and curse him who curses you, and in all the families of the earth shall be blessed.
All right, excellent.
Well,
It was the longest one, but thank you. You got them all correct. All right. We're ready for the... Boy, I feel sympathetic for you. You are just juggling all kinds of stuff over there. Snacks and pencils and coloring books. Oh, whoa, back to Vera. Genesis 12, verse 10.
Probably means I'm not getting any of those tougher questions.
Which leaves all the tough ones for...
Questions. I'm phoning a friend when I get called for the tougher questions.
Same. I can't read this.
All right,
Your
Vera.
sister. Now there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down to Egypt to dwell there, for the famine was severe in the land.
All right, excellent. Is that what everybody's got? Okay, very good. And the last fill in the blank is going to be Genesis 12 and verse number 17. And that goes to... All right, Addison. She's waiting for the cheering to be over.
But the Lord plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarai, Abram's wife.
All right, excellent. Very good. Everybody got that too?
Now,
So-
is her name, is it Sarah or Sarah?
Well,
Changed to Sarah.
yeah, later on their names are
Sarai
changed.
here.
Yeah, Sarai here, and yeah, later on we'll get there. So if we say Sarah, just because that's what we commonly call her, or Abraham,
Yeah.
we can cut each other a little slack. We know who we're talking about. It's like sometimes when I'm preaching about Paul, before Paul became Paul, and it's Saul. Sometimes just use interchangeably.
I'm not good at pronouncing these names, that's why I asked.
Yeah, so if you say Sarah, it's all good. Sarai is an interesting name. All right, so we are going to move on. The sheet gets a little bit more difficult. I heard some people say they struggle with some of the definitions. We're going to get to these terms, and the first one goes to, she's laughing. It was a diabolical laugh. Goes to Rachel. Rachel gets to define for us language.
Lip, origin, binding, speech, talk, edge, conversation, discourse, dialect of country on
Country or.
my bad. I
Well-
guess can't
We switched
Well-
papers, but she couldn't read her sister's writing, so.
Well,
read yours either.
Well, good job. I could tell you, I looked at the definition, I was like, wow. Some of them were really long. Yeah, I kind of summarized
Yeah, some of these
too.
are like really, really long, and then there's a
Yeah.
couple that are like.
I just
Look,
put
it's
it's
not
not
there,
there
yeah.
written words by humans.
Yeah.
Yeah, put common speech.
Common speech.
Way of speaking.
Good
Principal method of communication.
principal method. That's a good way to put it. It's short and sweet. I put down Gesenius's Hebrew Chaldee lexicon. It just said a lip.
Yeah.
And then there was some dashes next to it, like the tongue, right? You know, whatever you speak from the tongue. And then dialect. So I thought it was interesting that you threw that in there too. So, all right. I'm getting distracted. I was just paused there. I'm kind of listening to a conversation. All right. So language. Anybody got anything different? Anything extra? I think we probably all have just about the same.
I added, ways of communicating could be understanding words, yet could be signs, writing, actions, example, language, love, cause I mean, just because language
You know,
is
that's,
speech and tongue, but there's other ways.
yeah.
It could be.
The hands,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
All right. Very good. The next one, the young ladies are like, well, if we leave, we won't get called on.
It went to me.
Oh, it went to you. Okay, well, that's easy enough. Are you feeling nervous over here?
Yeah, I am.
Not at all. Okay. Well, this word is babble.
Yeah.
And real quick, I tried to stay away from like names, but I thought this one was really kind of interesting. All right, Addison. Uh-oh. That's all right. It's going to cheer when you give the answer.
I found that it defined it as confusion, and Babylon meant confusion by mixing. And I thought it was interesting, it said like the original was pronounced Babel. Huh.
So I've heard some people explain it like when you're talking to a small child that maybe doesn't know how to, yeah, and they babble. Yeah,
We had some of that this week.
yeah. So, and we'll hear more. But that's all right. In the Bible that I use on my computer, there's a little mark next to it that literally the word means confusion. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
I have a funny story about that.
Do you?
We used to teach Bible hour, and
Okay.
I was the teacher in there with Mr. Jeff Clark, and we were doing the story of the Tower of Babel. We were doing a puppet show and all that kind of stuff. Good time. Mr. Jeff was explaining to the kids about the Tower of Babel, and he says, that's Miss Laura. She's there, because it's what Laura likes to do is Babylon.
Babylon. I mean, that area later on became Babylon. That's and was that the last time you taught with them?
I love Jeff. He's a
He's
good
a
guy.
fun guy.
All right. So Babel, it's confusing. We're going to get to the next word here, blessing. I think we've all met a blessing, haven't we? But not to be confused with that blessing. Glenn, all right, Mr. Glenn, you get to define the word blessing for us.
A statement or gift of divine favor.
All right, that's a great way to put it. Anybody got anything a little different?
Innovation of divine help, prayer, asking for God's help, protection, and guidance.
Okay, very good.
I have a form of words used in invoking the bestowal of good.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Anything extra over on this side? No, probably about the same.
We say treaty or peace because I got those two.
I
Gift? Yeah.
I didn't write down where I got this definition, but I included in there benediction, by implication, prosperity. So benediction would be like a prayer.
Well, Esor had a primitive root to kneel, by implication to bless God, act of adoration, congratulate, even had curse in there, and praise and salute.
So it'd be that kneeling, that act of, that reverence of,
Had present, liberal, pools, and bountiful. So maybe like the kneeling
very, very good. All right, so the next word on our sheet, you guys helped me out, and we crossed that word off. But did you see the word begot in there a few times?
Oh, yeah.
Especially chapter 11?
Yeah.
Right.
A lot,
Yeah, a lot. So that's why it jumped out at me. But we changed it to the word plagued. And Addison, have you spun the wheel yet? Yeah, I changed it.
On Sunday.
Ah, so you might have missed that announcement because usually when
Glenn,
at the beginning, you proceeded to lock the doors for us, which we're very thankful for, Glenn. And so I made that announcement. It didn't
Probably
even dawn.
when you were like-
Yeah,
He's saying somebody pointed out.
yeah.
who is it?
It's Glenn. Okay, well,
I was just joking, but it was wrong.
well, if you, but if you want to define begot, the word that you have,
Well, I have begot, but, begot, the past tense of beget, and beget is the father or sire of.
all right, excellent. And that is found, I didn't even count how many times that was found in that chapter, but it does happen a lot there. All right, so,
Turn it over to Laura.
Laura, all
I
right.
have this one.
All right.
I actually had a lot and I shortened it. It was, for plagued, I have a blow as an infliction, a spot, sore, stricken, violently to strike, punish, defeat, destroy.
Excellent. I think you pretty much
There was a
covered,
whole other-
yeah,
oh my
I
God,
think you
no.
pretty much covered everything that I wrote down on the sheet. Maybe not.
There was another one that had a lot. It's funny
Yeah.
how, like, you had those couple that had a lot, and they.
And then some of them didn't have very much. And the next one, I don't know if anybody else struggled with the next one. I did.
I struggled with all of
I
them.
wasn't in a lot of dictionaries, but, I mean,
No, I
But-
didn't struggle with this one.
Yeah.
The reason why was because there was already a note in my Bible on this from before.
Oh, well,
We talked about this before.
that's what I thought, and that's why I put it down there. Is that the tree that you were really excited about? And so I saw that and I thought of you, and that's why I included that. So it's all Jody's fault if you struggled with that one. All right.
kind of blanking a lot tonight, aren't we?
Yeah, I'm just trying to make everybody mad at me. I'm an equal opportunity offender. All right, Addison,
Don't
if
worry, we missed you guys on all those. You might get these ones. Good luck.
poor Glenn got stuck with the word and he didn't hear the announcement that the word was changed. Boy, talk about irony, right?
Anita.
All right, Anita, you get the.
A strong-hearted tree, it is presumed that the Israelites sacrificed to idols under it, because the shadow. Yeah, okay, I can see that. The shadow of it is good, and it shines, it provides, concealment. And that
Okay.
tree can grow to 35 feet.
Yes, I remember this from our study, and is it Joshua Judges? Is it Judges?
I think it was back.
Both, maybe both of them. Yeah, that.
One from an oak tree, another strong tree.
I said pistachio.
Well,
So, well,
Pistachia terebinthus.
yes, the pistachio terebinthus.
Or
It,
turpentine tree.
In the
Yeah,
south.
so it's a-
I saw that too, but I couldn't say those words, so I just was like, no, this is what I'm putting.
it's also
I
nice
said they grew in the south and east.
Yes,
sides.
because it's
So
strong,
they're probably all
secure,
blown up.
healing powers. Turpentine comes from it cleansing, but there's spiritual meaning. The Lord's strength
did you hear Jody say that it's also called the God tree? And probably because it's large size and it had healing qualities. And
And
That's a nice
there's a
little
spiritual
sentence.
meaning for it.
Yeah,
The Lord's
it
strength and his righteousness.
yeah, it's a type of oak. Yeah.
One of the plastic things is kind
All right, very good. Anybody got anything extra? Just a fun fact: the word tree is actually not in the. It's just terebinth.
So I-
And,
why
uh,
extra? So
yeah.
he stopped at the terebinth
Yeah.
tree here, and then in Genesis 18, 1 through 18, he pitched his tent beneath the terebinth trees, and that's when the angel came to talk to him. So it's like he went back to the same area because it called it the terebinth, and then there was an M with it. So it's the same area that he went back to pitch his tent again.
So it's pretty important to the Hebrew people that area.
Well, I don't know, I found somewhere, it said Hebrew, the name is ELAH. Eli, derived from El, which means God.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what Jody was mentioning. It was sometimes referred to as the God tree for healing qualities that it had, and the stature, the large tree. Did you say strength too? It had to be strong, right, to survive as long as it did.
One place it said unmoving.
Unmoving. Okay. Very good.
Not like the pine tree in my yard.
Uh-oh.
It moved quite a bit, didn't it?
Still got the tree trunk.
All right, we're going to move into the questions from the text.
Somebody buy a spin?
And I heard Addison spin it already. So who? Oh, Maya pushed the button. All right. Well, who gets it?
Laura Hopper. Yay, thank you, Monahan.
All right, Laura. So after the flood, where did the people settle?
Land of Shinar.
All right, the land of Shinar. Anybody got anything?
I just added a plain.
It's a plain. Okay, so what is a plain?
Open area, open area.
Oh, flat, not the thing that flies in the air. So they didn't settle on a runway.
No, that would have been fun.
All right, so flat.
Since the flight wasn't invented,
Yeah,
that would have been real fun.
So
Yeah, you pull that off.
a flat area, I guess it could be used for plains. Anyway, it was a country area that had two rivers, and it was the ancient name for the territory later known as Babylonia or Chaldea. So we've heard of Chaldeans, so kind of familiar with that area. And of course, Babylon, Babylonia, kind of makes sense, doesn't it? All right, anybody got anything different or extra they added to that? All right, so we're ready to move on to the next question. If Maya wants to press the,
She's busy.
maybe she's busy eating a snack. Okay, so question 2. Laura Hopcroft. All right, whose genealogy is given in chapter 11, verses 10 through 26, and whose genealogy is given in verse 27 to 32?
Shem and Terah.
All right, so Shem was the first one, right? 10 through 26. Then the genealogy of Terah, verse 27 through 32. I figured somebody might say, well, wasn't it really all Shem's genealogy?
Yes.
I mean, technically it was, but the way it's broken up there, yeah. And who was Shem related to? Noah. Well, he was related to a lot of people, but he was the son of Noah.
Yeah.
All right, so Ham, Shem, and Japheth. All right, very good. Anybody got anything different?
I want to note that, like, great of Eber, who's possibly the beginning of the Hebrew race,
Okay,
and that Terah was Abram's father.
all right. Very good. That is good to point out that Terah was Abraham's father, or Abram in this case. All right, question number 3 goes to... Goes to Granny. Question number 3 goes to Granny. Why did Abram go to Egypt according to Genesis 12, verse 10? Because there was a famine in the land. All right, very good. Anybody got anything different?
It was a severe famine.
Severe famine. All right. I did include that too, but I looked up in the Greek translation. Anybody know what the Greek translation of the Old Testament's called?
Septuagint.
All right, that was a bonus question. Good job. In the Septuagint version, they use the word for severe, meaning that it was strengthening, it was getting worse. In other words, it was an ongoing bad famine, and things didn't look like it was getting any better. All right. Just kind of wanted to put that into perspective.
So instead of it being like everybody was near death.
It was continuing to get worse.
Because one of my notes later on, the thing that I had read was talking about how he arrived in Egypt near death. So it's like, it doesn't really say that. But I mean, that was that person's perspective because it was a severe famine. So.
Have to research that a little bit more. All right.
Sounded to me, though, when you're reading, that he was trying to avoid being near death, and that's
Right,
why he went.
right.
Yeah.
But the point was that it was, he arrived near death and then he came out of it a great nation, and so God.
So is this the first time people fled to Egypt when there was famine around? No. So obviously Egypt was a pretty prominent area, and
Land of milk and honey.
well, Egypt did have something going for it. They had the Nile River, and remember the Nile would flood, and then you could plant, and so it was well-watered, fertile area. All right.
I read that that's why they wanted to stay on this plain too, is because it was watered by the Tigris and the Nile, and it was fertile, and
So you had those
it was
two
the
rivers in
perfect
that.
place it was a comfortable place to stay, even though God told them to spread all out.
Hey, that's a thought question. We'll get there. All right. Who does the next one go to? That'll be what? Question 4. Chloe. Chloe. We're all going to have to encourage Chloe. We're on the back side of the sheet. We're on question 4 under the question from the text. What happened to Pharaoh and his house? That was kind of one of the verses we've already read in the fill in the blanks.
We defined it too.
Yeah, and we defined it. So
The Lord plugged them because of Sarah.
Good job.
okay, because Sarai, and who was Sarai?
Person in the Bible.
But who was she married to?
Oh, that's a
She's distracted. Who was she married to? Starts with an A. He was father who had many sons. All right, well, thank you. I was trying to go back to that song, right? All right, so the Lord plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarai, Abram's wife. The word great there, by the way, with great plagues, is where we get our English word mega. Are we familiar with the word mega? What does mega mean? A lot. We were just listening to the radio yesterday, and I don't know, the DJ lady was saying something about the Mega Millions. I don't even keep track with all that stuff, but she made reference to and she was thinking of the lottery. I actually thought about this, the mega plagues.
no,
Meta.
N-word.
Meta, that's Facebook. Anyway. All right, so plagues happen. Is this the first time Egypt was ever stricken with plague? Well, is this the last time, I should say? Is this the last time Pharaoh and Egypt's ever stricken with plagues? No.
I just thought they'd be used to it by now.
First time, probably yes. Last time, no, not the last. All right. So question number 5. Maya's the wheel spinner tonight. She's having fun. Oh, she says Chloe, but it's not, I don't think. It is. Maya's also playing the part of a prophet.
Chloe doesn't want Maya to spin the wheel anymore.
Chloe and Maya are going to have a talk after class. Anyway, so Chloe, the question is, why did Abram leave Egypt? Verse 20, I give you the verse.
Well,
Right there. You
Verse
need
20.
to, I'm right here.
Verse 20 tells you.
Read it.
Read the verse. Does somebody want to throw her the verse? She doesn't have her Bible
20.
open. She doesn't have a Bible.
oh,
Somebody, her phone died, and she doesn't have a hard copy of it over there.
so Pharaoh commanded his men concerning him, and they sent him away with his wife and all that he had.
So why did he leave Egypt?
Read it, Chloe.
You got to be loud.
They were commanded to leave.
Very good. Did anybody get anything different? Yeah, they commanded him to leave. All right, so Pharaoh commanded his men to drag him out of there.
I would too after all that.
It's kind of like when the Philistines had the Ark of the Covenant, and they're like, get that thing out of here because we are being plagued with tumors. All right, so everybody got 100% on that section. Just nod your head. Yeah, just. All right, very good. Now we're going to get to,
Everybody's favorite part.
yeah,
Thought questions.
thought questions.
They actually are my favorite.
Pain in the neck.
them.
Got to make us think a little bit.
Pain in the neck.
And this is where we think and we discuss, right? We just talk it out. Who?
Okay.
All right, so Gigi gets stock question number 1. And this kind of goes back to what I think you were trying to elaborate on before. So you get to elaborate more here. Why were the people wrong in trying to build a tower?
They were told after the flood, they were told to scatter and to repopulate the earth. They wanted to stay in one massive city and make a name for themselves, not for God. What was right, they were doing what was right in their own eyes again.
Again, or just, well, not,
Before the flood, I mean, they were like,
well, yeah.
everything was right in their own eyes.
Okay. Makes sense.
God told them to do something and they wanted to do what they wanted to do themselves.
All right, very good.
They didn't want to scatter and repopulate.
All right. Anybody got anything different?
And that they had selfish desires for great power and greatness, and that they weren't showing reverence for God because they're trying to get to his level by building up to heaven. So on top of everything else they're doing wrong, like, hey, we're going to be as great as God. No, you're not.
So researching this, I came across I've heard of this word before, but I've never used it. So I wrote it down in my notes. I thought it was kind of interesting. Hubris. Has anybody in here heard of the word hubris? Is that more like a...
Hubris?
No, that's posthumous. That would be... Is that like a lawyerly term or something? I don't know. Anyway, it means excessive pride. So they had excessive pride. They wanted to make a name for themselves, right? So that would be the prideful thing. Let's make it in reputation. It was all about them.
I put glory, they wanted glory.
Glory. That's the same basic thing. Number 2 was disobedience. Jody had already pointed out. They were told, go scatter and repopulate the earth. Instead, they all migrated to this one spot. And
It
so,
was comfortable. They had fertile land
and number 3, they had impure motives.
yeah.
So that tower had nothing to do with giving God the glory. Right? It was all about them.
Right.
I put it was ultimately wasting time and resources too, that they're pouring this time that should be towards God into.
Yeah, I mean, it's
That's a great
waste of time.
themselves.
So if you do what you want to do and not do God's will, you're just wasting time. Right, just wasting time. All right. Very good. It's glad to have Chuck back in class. We didn't call your name too many times, Chuck, so I just...
I told him he has to answer the rest of the questions.
Ooh, the rest of the questions.
That'd be
Well,
great.
we'll see. Maya's on a roll with
Yep, Maya's our real spinner.
picking people from our family.
It's ironic because it's Chuck.
It's Chuck. Hey, playing the part of Maya is related to me. So anyway. All right, Chuck, we're on the second thought question here. How can we use our gifts and talents to build up God's kingdom instead of trying to make a name for ourselves?
I just said give God the glory.
That's sums it up, right? Short and sweet there. Anybody got anything different?
Just that it's a focus on being, honoring God and being obedient to him, and also on service, because if we're focused on serving God and serving others, we're not gonna be worried about ourselves.
Yep. I wrote a footnote in here, a cross-reference to a New Testament passage, 1 Corinthians 10, verse 31. 1 Corinthians 10, 31. 1 Corinthians 10:31. Whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do all to the glory of God.
I
And
put
That
to
was
do
what I
things
had.
for God and his people without wanting acknowledgement from anyone. Do it from your heart.
so you can have the improper motives, right? I mean, could you do something right and have the improper motives and it still be wrong?
Oh, well, she's great because she did that.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with, recognizing people for the work that they've done, but that shouldn't be the motivation what drives you to do what you do. Yes, Addison? 1 Corinthians 10 and verse 31. In talking about talents, I also, the question there was how can you use your gifts and talents? I did throw in there, is it possible to use a talent that could possibly violate God's will?
Yeah.
And I was thinking, because I've heard people use this as an example. They've said, well, I can play a musical instrument. Therefore, wouldn't God want me to play a musical instrument and worship to him? And, well, there's a time and a place for everything. And God has not authorized that. So, but can you play the instrument?
Absolutely.
Sure, just not. I mean, it'd be like the same thing if a person is a great painter, right? We have some artists in the church. Would it be a time and a place to be standing up there painting pictures during the worship service?
Happy little trees.
I think he's leveled. He's at a different level than the happy little trees and the. But we all know who I'm talking about. But anyway, so we got to be careful about trying to use. Well, I got a talent. God would want me to use that talent, because you could, and it violate.
And maybe you could come out of something that wasn't for God, and like, you could be like a really stealthy robber, know how to pick locks and everything. And
If you know how to pick
leave all that
locks,
behind.
then maybe.
Really talented in
But
something.
then maybe you should go into a business.
Yeah, like become a locksmith.
Yeah, be a locksmith, or yeah. Well, I'm really good at numbers. Wow.
I'm gonna scam a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's not.
I'm going to go to Vegas and start. Anyway, that would be not using your talents properly. All right, very good. We're going to I'll move along to question 3. Maya's going to spin the wheel. She does a great job spinning the wheel. The camera can't see it. She gets so excited. She clamps her hands together and she waits for the name and the cheering. Who is it? Granny. Where did the Lord call Abram? Did he obey? Why is he noted for faith?
Was he in
Mesopotamia. All right, so can I ask a question? How did you come to the conclusion that he was in that area of Mesopotamia?
Because it says.
Okay, you looked at so Acts 7 verse 2 says that. Yeah, if you just look at, chapter 12, verse 1, it just says his home country.
I said correct.
So, yeah. All right, and so that was his land. Okay, did he obey? Yeah, he sure did. And why was he noted for his faith?
He went on his faith, not knowing where he was going.
So what were you worried about? That's exactly what I put.
Yeah, what were you worried?
No worries.
This is a greater act of faith than I think most people really realize, because he was leaving behind everything he knew. I mean, sure, he was taking his wife with him, but he was leaving all of his family, a country where he had grown up in.
So that means
all
the
of
neighbors and the
people,
surrounding, yeah.
everything, and going to this place that he didn't even know where he was going when God sent him.
Yeah. And he did it by faith. Did he question God? No, he didn't question God. God said, "Go." She's really excited for that wheel. Now we know how to distract her later on. Oh, Addison pressed it. So we're gonna repress it. Yeah. So Hebrews 11:8 says that he had that faith, even though he didn't know where he was going. He obeyed. Yay! She's so excited.
Laura Raymond.
All right, Laura. You knew this time was coming. So question 4, what promises did the Lord make to Abram? Were the promises fulfilled? When and how? And then I gave you a whole bunch of verses.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think if this is one that I actually didn't finish writing because I just gave up.
Well, there's a lot there. So,
Yeah, I put Abram will become a great nation.
okay,
God promised them land
okay.
through Abraham. In you all nations shall be blessed.
Okay, so let's just pause right there. So that's the promises.
Right.
And so he was promised land, right? Him and his descendants were promised land. He was promised that his descendants would be a nation, a great nation, right? And then all peoples. So all peoples of the earth would be blessed through him. So all peoples would include all peoples, right? So not just the Hebrews. So all people. And we do see that being fulfilled when Jesus came. All right, so keep going.
Well, I wasn't sure if I finished this outright, because then I looked, I said, were the promises fulfilled? Yes. And when and how, not sure if this is right, but I put through Jesus, because all who are baptized into Christ.
So ultimately through Jesus. We do see that process, though, right, that the Israelites became a great nation through his son Isaac. Remember, there was Isaac, and then there was Ishmael, and there was... So, yeah, Isaac, and then Isaac had those 12 sons, and those were the 12 tribes. So there's that great nation. Did they receive land?
Yes.
Right? There was
All the land that they were told they were
yeah, all the land that God promised them. And ultimately, it was all fulfilled. All nations, like we said, were blessed through Jesus. Coming and living and
then the sharing
dying.
of the gospel with the Gentiles, which was in
Yeah.
in the Galatians section.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
mentioned
yeah. So yeah, it wasn't just a promise to the Jewish people. That's kind of been a hot topic lately about Israel and all that, and I don't really want to get into all that, but
I don't get it. I don't understand why there's so much hatred for them.
well,
It goes back to these Bible things. Like, if you could trace it all back, you can see where it in the nations, like these nations that we're seeing throughout all of these readings that we're doing, where it starts with them and there's dissensions then, and then it's gone on for years.
Yeah.
And then nobody's ever solved all this hatred.
Why the rest of the world?
I-
Against this
I don't know.
tiny little
Well,
bit of people?
we could talk about it after class.
Nobody can explain it.
Okay, so, but, when you had Galatians 3:8, and then one is 16. 26.
Okay, Galatians chapter 3, verse 8, verse 16, verse 26 through 29. Yeah. So really you could say verse 8 through that whole entire thing, but it's just a little bit fewer verses, kind of chopped up a little bit there. All right, very good. And now
It
we're,
also said, they didn't let anybody curse them.
okay. Yeah, there was blessings and cursings.
They were blessed
Yeah.
and nobody was to do
Yep,
that.
not an
Yeah.
enemy stood against them.
Yeah.
They were delivered all into their hands.
Yeah. Yep. All right. As long as they were faithful, though, right? The promises that were,
It's gonna be the last
the
one.
promises given to Abraham and his descendants were conditional based on faithfulness. All right. Yeah. So we're gonna get to the. Okay. We're gonna spin the wheel. Spin the wheel. We get the last question.
Martha said, don't think too much about it. If he asks you a yes or no question, it's yes or no.
Hey, you got to explain. No, we had to
The one time I
explain.
said, don't read too much. I don't know. I'll get it now.
Whoa, the wheel almost broke. Who, oh, okay, so Gigi, that's what the liberals call her. Did Abram and Sarai lie to Pharaoh? And explain your answer.
Okay. I said half-truth,
Okay.
which is a lie. It was told to mislead on purpose. And 26:7 says because fear of men.
All right, so real quick, who told the lie?
Well,
Sarai did.
he
Sarah
told
actually
her.
did.
Well, he told her.
To tell it everywhere
Okay.
they went.
Okay, so in a half-truth,
A partial truth is a whole lie.
all right, so it was a deception,
Yep.
right, that they plotted together.
And it
There's,
was said to deceive people.
yeah, it was said to deceive people. So there's a big difference between saying something that's intentional lie and then there's a misspeak, right? So I know sometimes we've said,
Or
well,
even unintentionally leaving out information, not really meaning to deceive somebody. That's different than what.
Yes,
this was. This
absolutely.
was
That's
meant
why-
to-
that's what I'm trying to explain. There's a difference between misspeaking and flat out deception. This was deception.
And this was plotted from before they even went in.
Okay, so we said that they were related. How are they related?
Half sister.
Okay, how did we know?
Cause he says, I think it was in the,
Yes,
it was either the 2012 or the 26:7.
yeah, it was 20 verse 12 that I put on the sheet there. It says that she was the daughter of his father and not of his mother. So,
And he blamed God.
So, this little lie that they conspire here, did that happen to anybody else?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not like he learned his lesson from it because he repeats it later.
He repeated
Yeah,
it,
the 26
and then
seconds.
do you know who else did this lie?
His son.
Yeah.
His
Yes,
son
yes.
did the same thing.
Yep.
So it's kind of interesting.
That's very sad.
Yeah.
26, some people never learn.
Yeah.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, they were going into.
Chapter 20, was that Melchizedek?
And it goes into
No.
PR.
Was that Melchizedek? No. Abimelech. Is it Abimelech? King Abimelech?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The king of Abimelech.
Yeah. Melchizedek's coming
But
up
I think,
next.
I think it's kind of interesting because like he lies here, and it shows a lack of trust in God because he was fearful, and again with Abimelech, he's fearful that he might get harmed because his wife is beautiful and they might want to take her, okay? And he doesn't trust that God has sent him into these people and he will protect them. And yet, when we see later on, he's counted in the hall of faith. Like, he's a man of God, and so he wasn't perfect. And it's a good example to us that we're not perfect people, but as long as we're continually striving with that repentant heart, like, oops, I kind of messed up here, and we come back to God, that eventually we can be counted in that faith.
I mean, it's the same example of David. He was a man after God's own heart, but he wasn't perfect. He struggled, but it was how he rebounded after those mistakes that he made. Yeah, and it is interesting that God told him, your descendants are going to be a great nation. And yet he was concerned he was going to get killed in Egypt. I mean, so
taken, like, what did he think was going to happen? So it's like,
so you have these momentary lapses of judgment, I guess would be a good way to say it.
and we
So,
all have those at times.
Oh, we
and
do.
I think that's why I like these stories in the Old Testament. And I think that's why God puts all of these things in there for us to remember that we're all going to struggle at times to walk the way that we should. And he's showing us that this man struggled here, and later he came back and he was strong in the faith.
yeah, and he was blessed for it. Yeah. All right. Very good. Excellent. Anybody got anything different, extra? Laura, you want to share? We'll let you have the floor.
I'm good, thanks.
You're good. All right. All right.
Doesn't feel like babbling.
I answered it, and I explained my answer.
All right. Very good. So that's the in there again, chapters 11 and 12. We got a couple of different things going on there, right? In these two chapters, you got the Tower of Babel, you got the men striving for that reputation. There was God came down, scattered mankind. Hey, where did all these different languages come from? There you go. It happened right there. And then you have Abram's faith and God and faith in God leading to a blessing of all people, and he even struggles, right, a little bit in this chapter. All right, so that brings us to the end of this. I do have a quick question. I was I was asked a question last night. Valena, I'm not sure if you're watching this or not, but the question was, well, it was about potluck, and I said, we always do potluck. Help me out, ladies. We always do potluck on the first Sunday, right? So that would be November 5th, I think is the date. All right, while you're looking at that. Second of all, I said there was, refresh my memory, there is a chili dinner Saturday. Am I correct on that? Okay, I told her that. Chili dinner. I'm not sure the timing on it, though. What time is it? 5 o'clock. All right, 5 o'clock. Chili. On Saturday. Saturday. What?
Sounds good.
Saturday, 5 o'clock. Chili. If you don't like chili, I'm sorry. Bring you can bring peanut butter and jelly. I don't know. I don't know. Be here anyway. We'll get you some food. It'll be fun. All right. I just wanted to make sure I had all those details. I've been a little scatterbrained lately. Anyway, so I think
We've
Glenn.
got a lot going on, so I mean.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, Glenn, we'll let you close us out with a word of prayer.
Our great and kind Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. Thank you so much we could be here and study your word. Thank you for the good class we had, and thank you for Brian and all the preparations he makes for us. We pray, Lord, that you lead this midst of us. Lots of difficulties. The Elkhorn family, Cheryl's friends, leaving Brother John Barker and Brother John Thornton. Pray, Lord, to be with us now and forgive us our sins. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. All right. Thank you, guys.